Hey Zoe.
Hey Lo, how's it going today?
So good. I've been like my only thing on the schedule today. Well, I had multiple things, but they were all with you.
Yeah.
So it's been a very great Tuesday. And we actually had the very last call of our Divinity Mastermind. What do you have to say about the last 6 months of this container, Zoe?
I've just been like really basking in this beautiful depth of gratitude for this container and just the absolute magic that has happened within it, the magic that's been like coming through us in ways and like the lessons that we've been learning and integrating through this. Like what I love about containers is that like everybody moves through it in with such beautiful intent, and the embodiment that happens changes your timeline, changes your trajectory in such a beautiful way. And just coming to the end of that program and knowing how it's affected these beautiful souls lives and how their trajectories have changed and how they're feeling more free, more trusting, more excited, more allowing. I mean, a whole array of beautiful like feelings all around. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm just basking in gratitude about it and the magic that comes from a container, just or the magic that is divinity. What about you, Lo?
Well, yeah, it was so much more magical than I think we even like the reason behind us calling it divinity revealed itself to us. Like I think the reasoning we initially had was a lot more surface level than like now we're like, yeah, this is really giving you access. This work is truly your portal into just what we've called like the divine paradigm, which is this space of openness and allowing. And one thing that this mastermind has shown me over and over in the curriculum that we've built and the people inside and the way that they've shown up is just the power in intention. Because when we launched Divinity, we really had a strong intention about this work in the lives of our participants, this work in our own lives, and even what the work would become. Like the curriculum was really something that we allowed for. And that was just like the whole thing just it feels very like synchronistic and divinely led. And the space that our participants have been accessing, the space that we're now accessing, it's hard to actually put into words, to be honest. We're going to be doing a new round of our divine magnetism mini mind, which was like a 7-day mini mind that we did at the beginning of this. Well, it was like early spring when we first launched the mastermind, and it's going to be like a 2.0 version. It'll have a small like fee to enter because we're sort of just setting a bit of a energetic boundary, I suppose, around those that can come in and the intention again that we have for the mini mind. But that will be happening in November. So within like the next few weeks, we'll announce that and be talking more about it. But yeah, we're actually wanting today to have like a really quickie kind of episode on something that we were talking about. We were kind of reflecting back on like the space we were both in like before the mini mind, before the work that became the Divinity Mastermind. And like something that has been sort of revealed to both of us that I don't know, how do you want to like even broach this? Because it's sort of like it's something we were sort of laughing about and that we thought like, let's
Yeah.
just have this be like a quickie episode.
Well, I remember like, Lo and I send voice notes every day, just updating on life and insights and all of that. And I mean, that's the kind of stuff that you get in the divinity container too. It's like if we're getting something, you're getting that too. And so I remember Lo had this transmission that's just like literally life goes on. I remember where I was. I was like standing by the river, like on Vancouver Island, and like you're like it just keeps going. Like we have no control. Like the ego still at some depths, I think all of us can relate to this, has this idea that like we're gonna die, we're gonna get zapped out if like we don't get the thing that we think that we need, let's say. And sometimes those needs, like they can be um more related to like Maslow's hierarchy of needs in ways. Like they might be like shelter related, or they might be like food related, or like, any like they might actually hit deeper levels. But it's like no matter what, like life goes on, and it's in those places of the unknown that the universe shows us how supported, how loved we are. But like we've got to go to certain depths sometimes to really just see that life keeps going. Reality's going to continue to unfold. The sun will rise again tomorrow, and we're going to be okay. And like the suffering that's perpetuated from the ego mind, like that's where you've got to do the work and through your own body as well to release those stuck, stored, stagnant emotions, old narratives, um, the past really from your being to liberate it. Because what we've both like come to this place after divinity is like really recognizing we're not in control of any of it. And we're very okay with that. We're actually very open to the better than we could ever imagine, better than things unfold. And yeah, I just like, I loved it. I remember exactly where I was when I received that transmission from you, Lo, of just like the simplicity of life goes on. Like, even though there might be a trigger present, it's going to pass, but life goes on.
Like, to give context to that, when I've said like what I've learned is that life goes on, it's like there were so many times when I felt like I can't see how my life could be okay after this. Like, I can't see how, this like avalanche of bills I need to pay that I don't know how I'm going to pay, or like this business that feels like it's just, crumbling apart. I can't see how any of it ends up being okay. But even then, even in that like fear and that anxiety that like I just became so familiar with, life goes on and the next month would continue and like money would come again, or like ideas would come again, or like something would shift. And it's been so humbling because I just feel like it doesn't really matter what the circumstances are, especially around things like money and bills and stuff like that. It's like, you're gonna keep living. Like, life is going to go on. It's going to move you forward. It's going to change because that's what life does. And the more that we can just kind of allow ourselves to be in that space of like, if you're facing something right now, let's say, and it's causing you a lot of anxiety, resistance, fear, and you can't see how it's going to be okay. I honestly think like the work is not to believe that it will be okay. The work is to just get to a space where it's like, I'm going to exist here because I don't have control over how and when this, gets fixed in my life. And one thing I really saw was like, the more I try and avoid certain situations, the more I am called into them. And I finally just got to this place where I was like, you're going to keep living, like life is going to go on regardless. And I'm just going to be okay. If the universe wants me to exist in this space where I feel this way, or these circumstances are presenting themselves to me again, then maybe that's what I'm like. Maybe there's a reason I'm just supposed to sit here. It's not going to be the end of the world. And I think that's the part that like our nervous system doesn't know the difference around, is it perceives things like an overdue bill, or, losing a job, or getting broken up with as being like the end of the world. But certainly what these last few years and everything that have come with them have shown me is that like life moves on and things brighten up and lighten up and get good again. And like, like I look back at this past year and like I'm kind of bewildered by how where I was a year ago turned into where I am now. And I spent a lot of time feeling like my life was over. It went on and it's better, it feels more in alignment to me now than ever before. And so I just feel like it's presented this opportunity to be like, external circumstances are going to be what they're going to be. I can't force them to be anything other than they are right in this second. I'm not going to try, because what I know is like tomorrow comes and, you know, it ends up being okay. Life will move on. This is not the end of the world, no matter how much it might feel that way right now.
Yeah, it's so powerful because it's like in the like avoidance. I think like
Yes.
if I think about the awareness, the level of awareness that I have now versus like when we started divinity, there was a lot of avoidance. Like there was like, I'm not quite going to go there. I'm going to try to mind my mind and like think better thoughts, but not address what's going on in the body. And like that's really the journey that we've like taken in divinity altogether, is to really understand mind, body, soul, heart connection, really, in order to like find the safety within your body to release the mind, like to relinquish the mind's neediness and the graspiness of control, because that's where the suffering's created. And if things aren't addressed in the body, they're going to continue to sponsor thoughts of like that graspiness, that neediness, because the body doesn't feel safe. The nervous system doesn't feel safe. But when you address that work, it's like, oh, you've released the mind. Like in releasing the body, you've released the mind. And it's it's in the unknown and embracing that, and like, and having an open heart and an open mind to the unknown, that you witness miracles, that you witness blessings, that like you welcome in your divine purpose in new ways. And I feel like, in the simplicity of it, it's like we are not in any control. Like we have control over like the personal work that we're going to do, but we don't, some natural disaster, like, I mean, knock on wood, like God forbid, right? But like, we don't have control over like mother nature. We don't have control over like this reality. We don't even know what we're doing here, guys. Like we don't know. So it's
Oh,
like, if
kind
we,
of ridiculous.
yeah, it's all kind of ridiculous, but it's like, if we get to the place where we're actually able to release the mind, like that's when the magic comes. And it's like in this knowing that it's all going to be okay, but knowing that on an embodied level and not just trying to think your way there.
And like, I feel like for me, so much of my like, oh my gosh, I've ruined my life and it all fell apart was attachment to a business that I thought like, this is the business and there won't be another one after this, or there won't be a career after this that could be what this was or was becoming for me. And I made decisions and I like screwed it up, or it fell apart in the pandemic and la, 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 la. And what I've seen, you know, since then is like, well, I just started a different one. And now I have an audience of 30,000 people as an artist. Like, like I am a full-time artist. And if that fell apart, there'd be a different idea and I would build that, like it was very like, it's just been really wonderful to see everything you thought you were and you were thought you were supposed to be completely fell apart, and it ended up being the best thing that could have happened to you. And there's really nothing to attach to, because like, again, like even if what I've built this year fell apart, which it's from a completely different energy. But even at, let's say, Instagram shut down tomorrow or whatever, it doesn't matter. It's like all of it was generated from within me. And I think that that was the thing that I had such attachment around, was like this idea that I had managed to somehow create something that was successful and that allowed me to feel the way I wanted to feel in my life, and thinking that if I lost that, I would never get it back. And like, life moving on to me is like, life continues to move on and you will create again, or you will figure it out again. And it doesn't even have to take that long. But like, I don't know. I think like it's like everything has moved me into this space of curiosity rather than attachment, because I know that life moves on and none of it's actually that serious. My suffering was in the false perception that it was serious and it was bad and wrong. And a lot of attachment. I attached a lot of my identity to my business. And now I'm like, I'm going to make lots of money and be free and have success and blah, blah, blah. Does any of it mean anything about me? No, no, it
Mm-hmm.
never did. I made that mistake. And I think that's like kind of the human condition. So it's just like, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's in line with, we talked about this on a previous episode not too long ago about just being a little bit more lighthearted about things, because it's not to say that there isn't suffering in the world, but a lot of our own suffering is because we're too caught up in our head about thinking like, you know, this is some finite or like final thing that I've created and screwed up, and life will never be the same. And it's like, we got to just chill out a little bit.
Yeah.
Life moves on.
Yeah, life goes on. And you
Yeah.
know what the thing is like, when you release like the graspiness, however you energetically experience that, or experience that in your own mind, however it's manifesting, it's better than you could ever imagine. But like, you've got to get the human out of the way. You got to do the work to do that, to really see that like life doesn't just go on, but life is incredibly prosperous on the other side of like
Oh yeah.
the graspy vibes. The
Oh
graspy vibes
man.
have got to go.
If I could like go back and like chat with Lauren 2 years ago, I'd be like, girl, if you just chilled out a little bit, like this is all happening in your favor. You gotta just like stop freaking out. It's
Yeah,
fine. It's all fine. None of it really matters. Chill.
same, same.
But like that's the journey. And that's why when we say like there's so much freedom in like being willing to sit with whatever the circumstances are. This is a lot of the work that we do in divinity. I mean, we have people inside face the shit so that they actually get to be free. So much manifesting work is about avoiding it or creating a life where you don't have to face that part of you. And I just think we're past the point where like the universe wants that for us. It's like, I'm not just going to let you have everything that you want so that you never have to develop yourself or actually create true freedom for yourself. Like, I'm going to force you into some circumstances that might feel really difficult. But if you're willing to embrace them and accept that life will move past whatever it is, on the other side is something so much better. And like for me, that business falling apart, at least, I mean, it's still a business that makes money. So it never like failed or anything, but it went from making a lot of money to not nearly enough money in a very short period of time. But it delivered me into my relationship and the capacity to hold space for the love that I wanted. And now I like the day-to-day reality, like I'm like selling artwork and art courses and like painting. And I'm like, oh my God, this is where failure delivered me. Like, cool. Next time I fail, I'm going to be pretty excited about what's on the other side of it. Yeah. So just, I don't know, chill out because life goes on.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you're feeling called to divinity, stay tuned because our next round is coming up very soon. And it's the
We're
transformation
changing.
of a lifetime. It's so special. So
Yeah. We're
special.
changing a couple things about it just to make it as accessible to as many people as possible because we just believe in this work so freaking much more than any other program I've ever built. Like what this became is just really something special. And yeah, anyways, we'll see you guys in
Yeah.
the next episode.
Love you guys. Bye.
Bye.